Good morning, everyone. Hello. Yeah, thanks for joining. So, this is your training, Arul. So, I'll be hosting the session today. So, yeah, people are joining. So, we'll be waiting for like 2 more minutes before we start the session. Am I audible now? Could you please confirm me over the chat? Hello, am I audible? Yeah, so thanks for joining the webinar. So myself Arun, so I will be your host for this training. So I'll be sharing my screen. So let me know once you are visible. Is it visible? Okay. Okay. So basically, we are covering UCAS. So UCAS basically means Unified Communication as a Service, as you all know. So before jumping into UCAS, we should understand what is unified communication, because I feels like we will have a mixed audience today instead of being experienced. So I would like to cover the basics and then jump into the UCAS syllabus. So what is meant by unified communications? So basically, unified communication is an integration of various communication methods into a single cohesive platform. So basically, this will enhance the communication within an organization. So unified communication is an integration. From this picture, we can understand that integration of emails, desktop sharing, instant messaging, faxes, voice calls, and the directory services. So the key components of the unified communications are as shown in the picture below. So basically, this comprises voice communication, which includes the traditional telephony, the packet switching bot calls, and the advanced call features like call forwarding or call transfer and all. And we will have the instant messaging where users can see the availability of the contacts and they can collaborate over real time using the instant messaging chats. Then we have the video conferencing where users can have face-to-face meeting remotely. Then we have the collaboration tools like SharePoint, project management tools, screen sharing, and Microsoft whiteboarding, and file sharing, which all comprises this unified communications. And also we have the mobility function where the users can work in their personal laptops, smartphones, tablets, irrespective of the physical locations. So basically, that's about the unified communications. And coming to unified communication as a service, so what's the difference between this unified communication and unified communication as a service? So unified communication is basically a traditional unified setup where you host the servers, you host everything, and provided the services over the internet to the users. So when it comes to as a service, basically it's a cloud-based delivery model. So cloud-based in the sense, cloud in the sense, you will have data centers like hosted across the world, and you will be accessing the services over the internet. So basically, coming into UCAS, this is a cloud-based service model where a complete suite of communication and collaboration services are available for users over the internet. So basically, it's a cohesive platform where multiple tools are integrated into a single platform. So this basically improves the collaboration and communication, and which will streamline the productivity of the team. So this as a service refers to software as a service, which enables organizations to leverage the features of UCAS on a flexible pay-as-you-go basis. So basically, you only pay for what you are using. That's the as a service refers to. So why we need UCaaS? Why we need to move from the traditional UC to the as a service model? So in the traditional setup, uh, you have a high capex, you have a high operational cost because you need to maintain the servers. So considering the UC, traditional UC and the UCaaS, you will have efficiency because it eliminates the need for upfront investments in the hardware and infrastructure and also the maintenance cost. So the organization can predict the fees, like it's a subscription basis. So they can predict the monthly subscription fee, how much we are going to pay. And in the traditional setup, when you, let's say you want to increase the number of people, or you are like starting a new region or new office, you need to buy the on capex, like you need to buy the hardware, you need to buy providers, you need to buy the network infrastructure. So considering the scalability, if it's cloud based, it's easy for business to scale up and scale down the infrastructure if it's a cloud based service. Then it's flexible and mobile because the users can, irrespective of their physical location, users can log into the UCAS profile or like Teams profile and chat or do the instant messaging, check the present status. So that's the flexibility and mobility part coming in. This can be achieved in the traditional setup also, but this way it's pretty much simpler administratively. And the integration and interoperability. So these UCaaS applications can be integrated seamlessly with other business applications like CRM, email, other productivity suites, pretty much easier comparing to the traditional UC solutions where we host it on the on-premises. Then this reliability and security. So these providers like Microsoft or let's say Cisco, they have robust security and redundant infrastructure. So this ensures the availability of the communication services. If you are going to the traditional UC setup, basically we want to have the disaster recovery setup. That's a headache. You want to have the disaster recovery, you want to have multiple servers, you need to take care of the uptime and everything. So in the UCAS, basically everything is handled by the cloud provider. You just pay as per your use. And this unified experience. So basically, unified experience, you get everything in a single platform. You get planner, you get shift task, you get project management tools, you get SharePoint, everything in a single Teams client or single Webex Teams. So that's pretty much easy to handle, and that actually improves the efficiency because you don't want to switch between apps. And currently post-pandemic, the remote work is booming, and most organizations went back to the hybrid or the remote work culture. So, as a remote workforce or a distributed workforce, it's important to collaborate efficiently regardless of your physical location. So you may have colleagues at US or you have colleagues at Europe. So it's pretty much easy to communicate over them over video calls or normal voice calls or IMs when you have a cloud-based service. So that's why we need to move on to UCaaS from the traditional UC setup. So this is a comparative analysis in between the traditional UC and the UCaaS. So you could see in the traditional UC setup, you need to have the on-premises hardware, but in the UCaaS, it's a basically software as a service. So basically, you host it somewhere and you access it through internet. What you need is a pretty much good bandwidth. Other than that, you don't need much hardware on UCaaS base. So coming to the infrastructure, you need network, you need the firewalls and everything for accessing the setting up the traditional UC. But on the UCaaS, you need minimal hardware, like you just need a router and modem to access the UCaaS service via the internet. And coming to the scalability, if you want to like scale your service, you need to spend your additional amount buying the physical hardware, and instead of in UCaaS, you can basically scale up and scale down based on your requirements on a subscription basis. And when coming into the cost, traditional UC will have high capital expenditure and maintenance. And considering the UCaaS, this is a subscription based, you will have maintenance handled by the provider. So basically, you will have like lot of cost savings, which we are going to spend as a capex. And coming to the geographical reach, this is basically limited to the physical locations and more complex for remote sites. So coming to the UCaaS, you will have a global reach where you have the internet access. So it supports remote works pretty much easier considering the traditional UC where you have to set up everything. And coming to the disaster recovery, so for the disaster recovery, you need additional setup and additional investment for the redundancy. In the sense, you need additional servers, additional everything considering the investment you're going to make. But in the UCaaS, it's basically the redundancy is handled by the cloud provider itself. So coming to the all picture, we understand that UCaaS is pretty much easier to handle as an administrator or easier to use as an organization considering the traditional UC. So that's why normally the organization like bigger organizations are moving to cloud from traditional UC eventually. So eventually they will move from the traditional UC and they will end up in UCaaS, whether it be Teams, Webex Teams, or Zoom, whatever it is. So this is a graph which shows the traditional and cloud total revenue from 2019 to 2000 coming 2025, which is the expected one. So you could see in 2019 we have mostly the traditional setup and the revenues were from the mostly the traditional setup. But you know that the growth of cloud has been accelerated by the pandemic. So people opted for cloud-based services instead of the traditional setup. So this cloud-based services is expected to grow up to 17 billions by 2025. So you could see the organizations are eventually moving from the traditional setup to the cloud-based setup. So everybody will be familiar with the Gartner. So Gartner is an American technological research company, basically does the research for this technological and shares it over the conferences or via the private firms. So as per Gartner, the leaders of UCaaS, you could see it as Microsoft, Zoom, Cisco, Ring Central, and all. So you could see the market is where the steadily going to. It's going to the UCaaS from the traditional UC setup. So as per this, we could see it's mandatory for us, the UC engineers, to upskill and gain the knowledge of multiple UCaaS providers to stay in the market if you want to be relevant. So what can you expect from this course? So we will be covering from the basics, how an enterprise infrastructure look like. Like it will be consisting of the physical servers, it will be consisting of routers, switches, firewalls, and the end devices like PCs, conference rooms, MTRs, and IP phones. So in earlier days, we need to have this dedicated servers for running each of these applications. But later, we know we had this virtualization technology, which came up around like 1960s by IBM. But it was prominent by later 2000s when the VMware comes up with EXXI. So EXXI is like basically a hypervisor, you can say, where you can have multiple virtual machines in a single physical infrastructure. So basically, you can run multiple operating systems in a single physical server, which which we install on a bare metal server. So the most popular one is EXXI, and Microsoft is having its own hypervisor, which is basically Hyper-V. So we will be covering the basic infrastructure, how we are planning to do the virtualization. Then we will be doing the Active Directory installation, which is basically the Windows AD server, which is the directory service developed by Microsoft in around 2000. So we will be installing a Windows server and we'll make it as a domain controller. And before we moving to the cloud, so we will be creating our own lab. So if you have like around 8 GB RAM, basically you can install an Active Directory, which will help us while learn the cloud computing. So this is the starting. We are like how we are planning to move from the enterprise infrastructure and to virtualization and slowly move to the cloud. Then we will learn about the basics of cloud computing as a generic one. So what is meant by cloud computing? So basically, it refers to the on-demand availability of computing resources over the internet. So users can access these resources without maintaining a physical infrastructure. So they simply need the internet access to access the cloud computing. So cloud computing can be divided into public clouds, private clouds, hybrid clouds, and multi-clouds. So what is meant by public cloud? Basically, the services which are delivered over the public internet, which are shared by multiple organizations. You can say like Azure, AWS, GCP, Alibaba, Oracle Cloud, like that. So that's basically the public cloud. And what is meant by private cloud? So services dedicated to a single organization and hosted on their premises or the third party provider is called as the private cloud. And then we have the hybrid cloud where it's a mix between the private and public cloud. So you could see mostly companies will be in this hybrid cloud stage now. They won't be moving completely into public or private cloud. They will be in a hybrid setup. Then we have the multi-cloud. Multi-cloud basically refers to instead of relying on a single vendor, you will have both the Oracle and AWS or Oracle or Azure. That is the multi-cloud environment look like. Then we will be learning about what's the difference between this as a service offerings. You could see a complete on-site managed and application. Then we have the IaaS, PaaS, and the SaaS. So what is meant by IaaS? So IaaS refers to infrastructure as a service. So it's basically provides the virtualized computing resources over the internet. So you are giving a server and the companies can deploy the application over the server. So the cloud providers are providing the computer power over the internet. That's all. So coming to the past, you will be getting the platform allowing customers to develop, run, and manage applications without dealing with the underlying infrastructure. So in past, basically the infrastructure is handled by the cloud provider. You simply run the applications over the past. And we have service SaaS, where it's a software as a service. So coming to UCaaS, UCaaS is basically a software as a service. So basically, it's a software which is delivered over the internet by the provider, which is used by the organization simply by logging in. So UCaaS is basically as a software as a service. Then we will be moving into the Azure cloud computing. So why do we need to learn Azure infrastructure? Because while coming into UCaaS, you will be integrating the SPCs. So in that point, you may need to know how to deploy the audio codes or ribbon SPCs over the cloud. So basically, that's why we are learning the cloud part here. So we'll be going to see the what are regions, what are geography, what will be about the availability zones. We'll be learning everything on the Azure Global Infrastructure part, and I will be helping you to create the free trial account for Azure and 365. So previously we had this developer account which everybody was using. So now Microsoft stopped this developer account. So basically we will be getting access only for 2 months currently. So we have a lab setup at our end. So you can access that. I'll be giving you the access to the credentials if needed, but it's advisable to have your own lab because you can have like for free almost. You just need to purchase the domains for doing the labs for Microsoft Teams. So I'll be showing the administration part of Azure Portal, Microsoft 365 Admin Center. I can show you now. And how to add the custom domain to the 365 portal, and what is about the Azure network services, what are Azure VM services, so how to deploy the VMs in the Azure, and what about the VNet, subnet, and the NSDNs, and everything we will be learning from this Azure syllabus. So if you go, so once we create the account, you could see something like this. You will have an 365 admin account. You will have one Azure portal, and most of the time you will be working on this side, Teams Admin Center. So as a Teams admin, you will be mostly working on Teams Admin Center, but you will have a minimal access to 365 Admin Center and the Azure portal. So coming into the history of Microsoft Teams. So basically, Microsoft Teams is something came up on 2017 along. So before that, Microsoft has released something called as Office Communication Server, which was the predecessor of Link, which was released on 2007. So later, Microsoft came up with Link. So Link actually like it used to get integrated with the instant messaging, presence, conferencing, and it was having these enterprise voice capabilities. And in 2015, Microsoft came up with this Skype for Business. So Skype for Business basically retained all the features of the Link, and it added some additional features like Skype directory. So it helped users to connect millions of people around the world over the IM, over the calls. So after the SOP, Microsoft has released the Microsoft Teams in 2017. So in 2017, it was not having much market. So the market got boom when the pandemic came because everyone went to the remote work. So no one were using the traditional phone setup, traditional hard phones. So whenever people move to remote work, this got boom. And now the Microsoft is having the most market share in the UCaaS market. So we'll be initially what after creating the account, we will be learning about this basic Azure handling, like how to create the users, how to manage the users, how to create the security groups and all. Then eventually we will move to Microsoft Teams. Then we will be learning about the licensing part. So coming into the licensing, Microsoft is having basically M365 Business and M365 Enterprise. So the major difference is the business is having some user limit like 300 users, and it's having the basic application like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, which can be accessed both offline and online. And this basic license also includes Microsoft Teams, OneDrive, and SharePoint. So 365 business is basically for small or mid-sized business where they have less than 300 users. Coming to the bigger or larger organizations, they need M365 license. So for this M365 enterprise license, there is no like user limit. So users can have access to basic all the Office applications with additional enterprise level features. Then they have the collaboration tools includes Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint, YAML, etc. And it includes the analytics tool too, like the Power BI Pro and the My Analytics. So basically, this enterprise is for larger organizations where you have greater than 300 users. 365 business is for smaller and mid-sized business where you have less than 300 users. Then there's another concept called add-on licenses. So these add-on licenses can be purchased to extend the capabilities of the existing M365 plans, Like if you need the audio conferencing capability, basically you need to purchase the audio conferencing EFI license to get the audio conferencing capabilities. Basically, you will be able to dial into some bridge number and able to hear the conference. That's what the audio conferencing is all about. Then after the licensing part, we will be moving to the teams, basically the teams administration, I could say. They will be showing from the teams portal itself. So from the 365, we'll be covering the users, what will be the guest users, and what is active groups and deleted groups and all. And from the Azure portal, we'll be covering about the licenses, how to enable the subscription, how to deploy the virtual machines, and what is Entra ID. Basically, this is the Active Directory. They just renamed it as Entra ID. Then we will be moving to the Teams dashboard. So coming to Teams, you could see this is the dashboard. You will have a basic idea from here when the organization was created and Teams user and everything from this dashboard. And we will be starting from the Teams. So what is meant by Teams? This is basically Teams inside Teams. So Teams is like can say as a collection of people, conversations, or files and tools in one place. Basically, you can consider it as a group chat. So it helps to collaborate and communicate effectively. So in Teams, you will have channels. So while you creating Teams, you will have some general channels which is automatically created. So let's say you have a new construction project going on and you want to set up the infra. You created something like, let's say, Asia Pacific Construction Channel, construction teams. Then you will have a general channel there. If you want different channels, let's say for firewall team, for network team, for sale team, you can have private or public channels. We can create it in the teams. So basically, that's the purpose of teams. Teams you can efficiently collaborate within an organization or within a team. So every team will have a general channel by default, and more channels can be added by the admin or the owner as per the privileges as the admin gives. So then we will be going to the users part. So here, basically in Teams Admin Center, we won't be able to add the users directly. So you will add the users in O365 admin or the Azure portal, and you will be eventually importing the users, basically applying based on the license. So if they have a standard basic Teams version, they will be imported to the Teams Admin Center. So is the place where you could see all the users which were imported from the Azure or the 365. Basically, this will be synchronized. Basically, you could see the same users in both the portals. And we will be learning about the guest access and what is the difference between external access and guest access. So basically, the guest access allow you to invite individuals from outside your organization to your team's environment. And the external access is basically you can collaborate or chat or call with the users who are outside your organization. So that's basic difference between the guest access and the external access. Coming to the Teams devices, this is basically about the MTRs. When you have Microsoft Teams rooms on Windows, you could see the Teams rooms as here as a consolidated rooms. You could see the device summary, how much license you have, the health summary of the MTRs. So we won't be covering this part because we don't have any MTRs in place. And this is all about the Teams rooms on Android, something that runs on the Android. And here we could see we can directly register a Teams phone, Microsoft certified Teams phone in the Microsoft Teams Center, Teams Admin Center. And here you can basically register the SIP devices over the internet. So we won't be covering this part. We only covering theoretically from this part, the MTR part. Even though we have like I will try to get something on the MTR part, but yes, I'm not counting on it. So after that, we will be covering about the Teams apps. Basically, what is Teams apps? So Teams app is nothing but to enhance the productivity and collaboration by integrating various tools like project management tools, planner, shifts, and couple of tools are there like CRM tools. This can be integrated over your Teams client so that the people don't want to switch between apps to do the work. So this is making the user's life easier because you have one single unified interface where you can access everything. So we will be covering these Teams apps about like what are the apps, what are the inbuilt apps provided by Microsoft Teams, what are the third-party apps where we can integrate it into the Teams app like that. Then after that, we will be mainly focusing on this part, the voice part. So basically, this comes under the PSTN connectivity options. So coming to the PSTN connectivity options, Microsoft is having three options. So you could say Microsoft is having calling plans. So calling plans, while purchasing the calling plans, Microsoft act as your PSTN. So they will provide you the phone numbers, they will provide you the calling minutes. There are different plans based on the regions and your calling needs. If you want international calls, you need to purchase that plan. If you want only the domestic plans, you can purchase that domestic plans. But this is not available the worldwide. It's available in some countries only. In India, it's not available, I believe. So you have an option for the PSTN connectivity using calling plans from Microsoft. So the benefit of calling plan is it's easy to set up and manage for smaller and mid-sized organization who don't want the headache of handling their own SBCs, their own infrastructure. They can simply go with this calling plans. So it's easy to manage. You don't need any administrator for managing the calling plans. Then we have another option called Operator Connect. So Operator Connect, it's actually faster and easier to set up compared to the direct routing, but considering the calling plan, it's a bit difficult because Operator Connect, Microsoft is giving you the option to choose your own provider. So Microsoft is having, like in India, we have Airtel and Tata, I believe. So Microsoft is providing you an option to select which provider you want. So basically, you will integrate this Operator Connect with the PSTN Connect, PSTN providers SBCs. So we can select from a list of certified telecom providers to provide this PSTN services. So this can be considered as a managed service. Then we will be covering the direct routing part. So this we will be concentrating mostly on the direct routing part. We will be covering this with the audio code SPC. Basically, we'll be covering deployed on the cloud and on-prem. So we have a on-prem lab setup and we have a Azure cloud. So we will be covering the Azure audio ports deployed over the cloud and audio ports deployed over the on-premises virtual edition. It's 7.4 edition, and we will be integrating that audio Microsoft Teams using direct routing to the on-premises Cisco Call Manager. So we will be showing how we are going to integrate the basic setup of audio ports, how the direct routing works, and thus how we can enable the PSTN connectivity using the direct routing. So we will integrate this with the Cisco CUCM and will be directly integrating to the PSTN. We will cover the two scenarios. So that's all about direct routing. So basically, Microsoft has all having three options: calling plans where you purchase the minutes and just simply call. It's easier to set up, and you will have the operator connect where you have an option to choose your provider, and the provider will manage your PSTN connectivity, and the direct routing, which is more complex. And the larger organizations always prefer for the direct routing, considering their environment and the flexibility they get while getting this direct routing. So we will be covering the audio ports deployment of the Azure and also on the on-premises and how we can integrate it with the on-premises call manager. Then we will be covering about some Microsoft features, calling features like auto attendance. So what is meant by auto attendant? So auto attendant is basically a feature that allows organizations to create the automated systems to handle the incoming calls. So based on the user inputs, it will route the calls to different destinations. So basically it handles the incoming calls, and as per the user output, it will reroute the calls as per the input from the user. Then we have the call queues. So call queues are basically used to manage the incoming call and how the incoming call has been distributed. So it's based on the available agents and how what's the routing method we prefer, like say round robin, where the first call goes to the first one, the second call goes to the second one, or we can do the serial algorithm, or you can go with the parallel algorithm like simultaneous ringing. So we will be covering the auto attendant and the call queues in the Ashok Teams Admin Center. We'll be configuring it in the Teams Admin Center. Then we will be covering about the resource accounts. So what are resource accounts? So resource accounts are like special type of accounts which is used to manage certain team features like auto attendance, call queues, some MTR rooms and all. So basically, this doesn't represent the individual users, but it serves as a functional entities for handling the calls, meetings, and other services. So basically, if you have an MTR, you want to have a resource account assigned to that MTR. So that's how the resource account works. Then we will be configuring the holidays. So holidays are special configuration, you can say. So we will define specific dates as holidays and customize the call handling during this period. Let's say like you have a holiday, how the call routes in a holiday and how it differs from the normal call routing. So we'll be handling the direct routing, auto attendant, or everything in our course. And later, we will be handling one more thing like LBRs. So what is meant by LBR is for India, we have some DOT restrictions. So location-based routing basically enables users to call from the office premises as per the DOT regulations. So we will be covering the LBR, how the LBR works, how to do the LBR enable gateways, how to whitelist the subnets where you want to have the LBRs, how to add the trusted IPs like that. So we'll be covering all these details in our Teams course. We'll be concentrating on mostly concentrating on the direct routing because rest of the things will be easy to configure. Like it's basically the toggling. You can easily do that. But we will be concentrating on the direct routing part and the audio code SPC, how you can configuring the audio code SPC on both on-prem and the cloud. And you have the analytics and reports. Basically, this portion provides the administrator about insights into the performance of teams within an organization. This helps to monitor, to optimize the team's deployment and identify if you have any issues. So that's all about the teams we are learning here, the Teams Admin Center. Then while moving to the certifications part of Teams, you will have two certifications available. So you will have 365 MS 700, which is a Teams Administrator Associate, and you will have MS 721, where you have Certified Collaborations Communication System Engineer. So the MS 700 is pretty much easier compared to 721 because 700 you need to have the skills to configure, deploy, and manage the Teams workload. This is what they looking for the MS 700. And for the 721, you need to have the idea of the direct routing, how to plan, deploy, configure, maintain, and like troubleshoot advanced team post features like direct routing, SBCs, and everything. So these all are the certifications available for the teams as of now. So we will be covering like briefly about everything. Some will be in the theoretical part. We will be more concentrated on the direct routing part. Oh, so that's all about the from the team side. So if you have any queries, feel free to ask in the chat about the things you have any doubts about the lab availability. Hello, am I audible? So someone asked about the SBC call flow. So we will have two call flows. So you will enroll the SBCs into the Teams Admin Center. The one call flow will be we will be deploying the Azure audio ports in the cloud, and we will be using the elastic trunking from Tilio. And the other call flow will be we will be doing the direct routing to the on-prem CUCM. So we will integrate the PBX with the Microsoft Teams, and we will have another call manager where which act as a PSTN. So basically, we will cover these two. The something directly goes to the PSTN and something that comes to the on-prem PBX and then going to the like the PSTN like setup we set up in our lab. So you will get the access to that lab. We are still setting it up. You mean the call flow? Call flow is from directly from Microsoft Teams uh, to the audio ports, then to the PSTN. That's how the call flow works. And the other one, when we set up the on-prem lab, it's from the Teams coming to the audio ports, then to the CUCM, on-prem call manager, then to the PSTN. We will cover these two setups. Anybody is having any other queries related to Teams? Audio ports, yes. If you see, I can show you maybe. So you can create your own lab if you have like 8 GB of RAM. I have my own audio ports on-prem. So yes, we will be covering how to integrate these audio ports with Microsoft Teams. And I have my on-prem call manager here. So I will be integrating these two via audio ports because I have a public IP which I purchased as a static IP. So yes, we will be covering the audio ports basics. Uh, For MS 700 and 721, yes, we will be covering this part, but certification is mostly you can do the sample certification on there's a site I can share that in the Microsoft site, Microsoft Learning Portal. You could practice and you can go for the exam, but try to get some dumps because you could pass only the certification based on some dumps, to be frank. So if you have the resources like 8 GB, so I have like 24 GB of RAM, you can set up something like similar to this. So we will be creating something like Active Directory server. Then I have a publisher in Bangalore, and I have a ignore the Unity. I have an ILS. Then I have like another Windows server. Then I have audio ports on premises. So yes, it's pretty much all covered with the audio ports from a perspective of direct routing. So what do you mean by SBC fail? You mean the HA? Can you explain what is meant by this SBC fail? Okay, so we will be covering, you mean the fault failure, right? So yes, we will cover the syslog viewer. Basically, audio codes is having like similar. We have on-prem, we have the RTMT to monitor the logs, get the logs. As audio codes is having something like syslog viewer. So I have that syslog viewer on-prem. For the cloud setup, we will deploy it in the cloud and we will collect the logs. So audio codes is having two debug levels. One is basic and one is advanced debug level. So we will be covering the basic debug level, how to collect the zip file flows, zip logs, and how to analyze the particular faults using the DNS and ANI. Any other questions? Okay, so that's all about the Teams part. Then we will be moving about the WebEx Teams. So we will be moving to the WebEx Teams. So basically, WebEx Teams is actually like doesn't like it was purchased by Cisco from a different person actually. So it has a rich history that spans over decades. So it was founded around 1995 and Cisco acquired this WebEx around 2007. So at that time it was a revolutionary product. And this WebEx Teams was initially called as WebEx Spark. Later they rebranded it to WebEx Teams. So post-pandemic, as the demand for cloud-based solutions increased, Cisco has come up with this more integrations into these WebEx Teams and similar like Microsoft Teams, you can say you have a lot of apps available for collaboration purposes. So uh, we will be covering how to create a WebEx developer sandbox. It's pretty much straightforward and simple considering the creating a free trial account with Microsoft Teams. So it will just take 15 minutes. So for the lab purpose for WebEx Teams, you can have your own lab, which you can easily use for another 2 years, I believe. So that's how we am I audible now? Sorry, guys, I lost the power in between. I just connected via hotspot. Am I audible? Yeah, thanks for confirming. I'm just sharing my screen now. So we discussed about Webex Sandbox. So let me log in. So once you request for the sandbox, you will get something similar to this. So this is how the Webex control hub looks like. So once you request for the sandbox, uh, it may take like 15 minutes to get this. You will get a like login credential to your email ID. So after purchasing the Webex services, this control hub basically creates an organization, and each organization falls under some specific geographical location, but you can add the users across the globe. But that's how control hub works. So this is where we manage everything, the users, services, and devices. Like unlike in Microsoft Teams, we have Azure, we have 365 portal, we have Teams Admin Center. Webex controlment hub is basically managed by this admin.webex.com. So uh, we will start by simply creating the users. So you can create a local users from here. Like you can manually add users. You can create a up like add a CSV file and add like multiple users using a CSV file. But no organizations will be doing this. So because everybody will be having some directory services. Let's say mostly will be having Azure directory services. So there are two ways to synchronize the users to Webex Cloud. So one is the on-premises from the on-prem setup to the Azure ready, and from there you can sync with the Webex Cloud. The other way is you have something called directory connector, Cisco directory connector, where you can sync the users from on-premises directly to the Webex Cloud. So this directory connector can be installed on Windows 8 environment. So I have that in my Windows 8. And we have these external users. So what is meant by external users is uh, the individuals who are not a part of your organization, but granted access to collaborate with your users in your organization. Those users are called as external users, and you can have external administrators too. So these are administrators who doesn't belong to your organization, but granted administrative privileges to manage your WebEx environment. So we will be learning about how to create the users locally. How do you sync the users from Azure AD? How do you sync users from on-premises AD setup with the directory connector? Then we will be moving to the groups. So what is meant by groups is basically they are organizational units that allow administrators to manage and configure settings, policies, and services specifically for a subset of users. Let's say you have a sales team, you have a ELT team, you have a management team. So basically you create Webex group and apply the generic policies the instead of assigning that to each users. So that's where the groups coming in. And you have the Webex group and you have the synchronized groups. So basically, the Webex groups are groups which are locally created, and synchronized group are groups that are automatically synced from the organization's Active Directory or the other directories to the Webex control hub. So this is locally created and this is synced from the Active Directory setup. Then you have locations. So I have added a couple of test locations here. So what is meant by locations? So locations are used to organize and manage the web services and device based on the geographical or physical locations within an organization. Let's say you have office in Bangalore, you have an office in Delhi, you have an office in US. So we will be adding all those locations here under this location tab. So basically this help to optimize the delivery of WebEx services by considering the specific needs and infrastructure of that specific location. So we will be creating multiple locations while doing the labs, and we will be configuring it. Then we will be covering the workspaces. So this basically refers to the physical location within an organization where a WebEx device is occupied. So the main goal is to provide a streamlined way to manage the shared WebEx devices and optimize these physical locations for meetings, for calls, and for other collaborative activities. So this workspace refers to the physical location where we have a WebEx equipment or a desk phone or a meeting room like that. So if you go to the workspace and then insights, so insights, you could see how your organization is setting up the inventory, how many different types of workspaces are there, and all those things can be seen in the insights. And in the utilization, you could see how workspaces are used by the organization, identify the scheduling behavior, and you could see which are the most popular workspaces, which are the least popular workspaces, and the scheduling behavior of the workspaces. And this integrations refers to capability to connect and use the third-party applications and services directly within the WebEx-enabled physical space. So this is basically integration between the third-party applications. Oh, for an example, let's say you have an unbooked room, and you have to unbook a booked meeting room where nobody showed up in the meeting room. So based on the actual people presence from the video device sensors and AI, you could unbook the room by integrating it to third-party applications. So that's about the workspaces. Coming to the devices, you will have all the devices in multiple locations, and you can filter it by how many are online, how many are expired, how many is offline, if anything is having some issues, how many is pending the activation. Everything can be uh, seen from a single tab in the device tab. Then we will be covering about the security. So security you have two authentication activities and the admin activities. Authentication activities basically allows you to generate access logs that track the user signings and user signing and user signouts. And the admin activities, if you could see, everything is logged here. For all changes you are doing, everything is logged here. So this is used to track the administrative actions within the WebEx control hub, including the changes to settings, configurations, and the user management. So all those will be covered under the security. Then we have the organizational settings. So organizational settings we will be covering the domain verification manually and both with the Azure AD. So domain verification basically means it ensures your organization has control over its email domain. So it allows you to manage and secure your organization's WebEx environment more effectively uh, by confirming that you own the domain associated with the users. So this can be done manually or this can be done with the Azure Ready. If you have a verified domain in Azure Ready, it can be easily verified in Webex Control Hub. Then we will be covering about the basic Webex calling features like call queues, auto attendant, and the call path and all. Then we have the Webex licensing. What are the licenses available in Webex? So Webex is having a Webex free plan which we are using. So in this Webex free plan, we will get the basic team collaboration features like file sharing and spaces. And it has some limitations like limited meeting duration, limited participant count, and all. Then we have the Webex starter plan. This covers the Webex free plan, basic calling features, unlimited group meetings up to 100 participants. You will get some cloud storage and you will get some tools for the enhanced collaboration. So this can be used by small startups or small teams, this Webex starter plan. Then we have Webex business plan. Uh, this includes basically all the features of Webex starter plan, which is having enhanced calling features, single sign-on where you use like you have only single connection which you don't need to enter the credential. It will automatically sign in. That's basically the single sign-on. We will be doing the SSO integration and you will get some advanced administrative controls. You will get some tools for analytics and reporting in this Webex business plan. Then you have the Webex enterprise plan. So this will be the license mostly the enterprise organizations, bigger organization using. So this will be covering all the features in the business plan, and this will give you a fully customizable tailored solution as per your business needs. So it's having a unlimited cloud storage and it's having a enhanced analytics and reporting setup, and it's having the 24/7 support from the Cisco too. And you will get a dedicated customer service manager. So we will be using the Webex free plan, but when you go into an enterprise, we'll be mostly seeing the Webex enterprise plan. And you will have some add-on licenses like Webex calling, where you have advanced calling features, PSTN integrations, and enterprise-grade telephony solutions. And you have like Webex events for the like it's basically a tool for hosting large-scale webinars and virtual events. So that comes under the add-on licenses. So we will be covering the license part from here. And for the services, we will be migrating from a normal firmware to the MPP firmware, and we will be registering one Cisco IP phone to the Webex cloud. So basically, MPP provides the flexibility for deployment in different VoIP environments, including the third-party call control systems, Cisco Webex calling, and other web cloud-based or on-premises SIP-based platforms. So basically, we can migrate from firmware from normal phone to the MPP firmware. Then we will be covering about the various calling plans, similar like we covered in the Teams. So coming to Cisco, it's the name only changes. Basically, it's similar like we have in the Microsoft Teams. So Cisco is having calling plans like Cisco calling plans where Cisco act as your PSTN provider. So we will buy the DIDs from Cisco and they will take care of everything, including the call routing. So this reduces the need for like additional hardware or like small businesses or mid-sized businesses can easily use these calling plans where you buy the numbers from Cisco and the Cisco will take care of your call routing. So this is basically simplifying the deployment by providing an end-to-end solution that is managed by Cisco. Then you have cloud connected PSTN, where similar to the operator connect. So it allows the organization to connect through the PSTN services through a PSTN providers who integrate directly with the Webex calling. So these providers actually offer the cloud-based PSTN connectivity, which eliminates the need for an on-prem gateways. So providers are certified by Cisco. So that is basically ensuring the compatibility and reliability. So you will be dealing with the providers which are certified by Cisco. It's similar to the Operator Connect in Microsoft Teams. And we have premises-based PSTN. So this is basically you bring on your career. You have a current career. You can port it, or you can use the similar setup. So we will be covering deploying a cube, both in the on-prem and on the cloud setup. So we will be deploying a cube on the Azure and doing the PSTN configurations using the Elastic Trunking. So these all are the topics we are covering from the Webex team's perspective. There will be some minor changes in the topics, but we will be covering what is relevant to the industry as of now. So anybody is having any doubts on the Webex calling? What all we need to cover? Cisco phones to Webex by MPP. You need to have a Webex license there. You have an options to migrate the enterprise phones to the MPP firmware. This is where we cover that portion. Directory connector, we will be installing this directory connector software. You can download and install the directory connector from here. So you need to install it on a Windows server, and you can connect the directory connector to the Webex Control Hub. You will get those from here. Requesting a sandbox is pretty much easier. I will show you. I can share you the link. You basically need to create an account, and when you request for sandbox, you will get an acknowledgement by Cisco with your login credentials. Certifications, I believe yes. I need to check on that. I'm not. I have MS certifications, but Cisco side I haven't checked. Maybe I will let you know after checking. Yes, it's possible to register phones. I believe we are good to go to the Zoom part. Uh, for the Zoom part, actually, we will be covering these topics. We don't have a lab setup as of now, and you won't be getting any lab setup for Zoom phone systems. So we had a call with the Zoom team. I had a call with the solution engineer. So they will be granting us the Zoom phone tenant. They are yet to be in India as a native provider. So there were some discussions going on. So they will be providing a test tenant for us, and I will be giving you the access for the Zoom phone system. So this will be covered on the later part only. The Zoom phone system will be covered last. Uh, so yes, that's all about the Zoom phone system we are covering. So Zoom phone system, we will provide you the access to the Zoom phone system tenant or setup, whatever it is. So that's all about the UCAS syllabus. And I know you will have some questions, generic questions about the notes. So I have my handwritten notes with me, so I will convert it to PDF and I can provide you that for the Microsoft Teams and Webex Cloud. As of now, I don't have anything on my Zoom. I'm waiting for the document from the Zoom team. We have connected to the Zoom partners for that. So for the Microsoft Teams and Webex Cloud, I can provide you the document. I can consolidate and give you. And for the lab setup, we have an on-prem server. We will give you the access to the server. Uh, for the Microsoft Teams and Webex, basically you can create your own setup. In Webex Cloud, you don't have you don't have an issue. You can use it like until around 800 days. For Microsoft Teams, there is some limitations like 2 months. So if you need the lab after that, I can create the lab user and provide you the access. And we will have a on-premises Cisco Call Manager setup on our lab. So I can provide you access to that lab for the integration between the audio ports and CCM. Yes, yes, troubleshooting will be covered. Directory connector, how to integrate. Soon I'm yet to receive. So coming to on-prem Cisco CCM, let's say you have an on-prem CCM. You have an option to import the data. Basically, I'm working on the CCM. So you can import the data and you can, I believe I have this discussion with the Zoom guys. So if you are planning to move from on-prem to Zoom Cloud, you want to have the licenses purchased from the Zoom partner. And you won't be simply going. The hybrid setup is not still in place as per them. Uh, how it can be integrated with the IVR? What need to be integrated with the IVR? Can you please explain? I'll be providing you the notes after the classes because I have the handwritten. I can convert it to PDF and will provide you after the classes. Coming to the future trends, we know post-pandemic basically accelerated the growth of UCaaS. So pre-pandemic, we could see post-pandemic, the UCaaS has grown into like 143 billion market as of now. So it will be expanding. There is no going back to the on-prem setup. So coming into the future trends, you could see more from the UCaaS providers. So how they will integrate it with AI and machine learning. So AI-driven features like virtual assistants, automated transcriptions, intelligent meeting summaries, these all are available now also, but they will enhance the performances. That will basically increase the collaboration and productivity. Then they will expand the collaboration tools available. Now we have the inbuilt collaboration tools available for both Cisco and Teams. They will integrate more tools into it, which makes the life easier of the users and the organizations, which ultimately increases the productivity. Then pre-pandemic, we could see there were a lot of face-to-face meetings. Now post the pandemic, we could see it's mostly MTRs or Cisco Cortex. So you could see the market is growing to the video-based communication, the conference rooms of both Cisco, how to integrate both the Cisco and Teams conference rooms, like that. So going forward, it will be increasingly important to have video communications while the business is adopting video first strategies for meetings and customer interactions. So then we will be seeing the integration with other business applications like ERP, uh, CRM applications, other project management tools, automation with the HR systems. This will be the future trend of the UCaaS, if you could see. And coming into the 5G and edge computing, uh, you could see after the rollout of 5G networks, this will enhance the performance and reliability of the UCaaS solutions because you have the higher quality video calls, faster data transfer, improved connectivity, and coming going to the edge computing, basically it will reduce the latency and improve the real-time communication capabilities. So if you have a geographically dispersed teams, this 5G and edge computing will increase your data transfer rates, and ultimately it will improve the connectivity and improve your collaboration experience. So this is where the future of UCAS is going to. So we will be covering the teams, mostly from the Teams part because that's the most in demand now. And we'll be covering what's industry relevant to the Webex cloud and Zoom phone system. We are yet to receive the documentation and tenant from the third party. So once we have that, I will just prepare one detailed syllabus of Zoom too. So anybody is having any questions regarding the UCAS or Teams, Webex? Yogesh, this was actually the setup is there, but there is no need. I mean, if you have a Zoom cloud and you can directly connect it with basically with the SBC and PSTN, there is no need for the on-prem setup. You can obviously integrate because you have an SBC in between. Retention period, you need to discuss with the management. I will check and will let you know. I believe we'll have access at least to next 3 months. Duration for Microsoft Teams and Webex, it will be around 35 to 40 days, depends upon what all things we add extra. And for the Zoom, I will add another 10 to 12 days. So it will be around 45 days, I believe. 45 working days. Any questions? Uh, Timing is most probably will be afternoon session. Will be around like 4 to 6. It's not yet decided, so depends upon my availability. It will be online, Satosh, but you will have access to the labs. We are setting up the VPN and all, so we will have the access to the labs. Not really. It will be like 5 days a week. Uh, Intro in the sense, myself, Yogesh. Hey, I'm Arun, Yogesh. I'm working with one MNC. Any other questions, please? If not, we are good to close. So thanks for joining. Thank you.